Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Nerds Know Sports NBA show. I'm your host, Aaron. I'm joined always with my co-host, my backcourt running mate, Jesus.
Hello, everyone.
We're not very tall people, is what we're trying to say. All right, anyways, so first, let's get it out of the way. We are not Warrior fans, so we will begrudgingly congratulate the Warriors on a successful redemption tour with the second best player in the NBA and the third best player in the NBA somehow overcoming the best player in the NBA. It was quite shocking. That was sarcasm. So, how did you feel about the NBA Finals blowout, Jesus?
Honestly, I wasn't surprised. I kind of expected it. Like, I jokingly told my dad that I expected it to be 5 games, but I could easily see it being a sweep. And my dad thought I was crazy. Like, he was expecting a 7 game series or 6 games at least. But the talent gap was just so big. And Cleveland just has so many one dimensional players. Like, they got a bunch of players that only play offense, and they got a couple players that can only play defense. And there's just there's just no way that they're going to win. So I wasn't shocked.
Yeah, absolutely. There's four Hall of Famers in the starting lineup alone for the Warriors. And I'm not sure if
Two for the Cavs.
I'm not sure if the jury's out on Kevin Love being a Hall of Famer just yet, but even if he was one, it's still kind of a rough sale to say Tristan Thompson or J.R. Smith are Hall of Famer caliber players. So it's hard to say
The,
in any
I'd
other.
put J.R. Smith in the not in the basketball Hall of Fame, but he might have some like party Hall of Fame or something,
All right. Anyways,
shooting your shots.
okay. But we're not here to talk about the NBA Finals. We're here to talk about the draft because both our teams suck and they really need help. And thankfully, the NBA draft lottery is rigged. I mean, it is so kind to the LA Lakers, and they have the second overall pick. But we are recording this on a day where we believe a trade has occurred. We believe that the 76ers have acquired the first overall pick from the Boston Celtics for several great draft picks. And now the order is roughly the same as it was last year. At least at the top four, it is exactly the same. The 76ers are first, the Lakers are second, the Celtics are third, and my team, the Phoenix Suns, are fourth. And the rest of the draft rounds out with the Sacramento Kings at 5, the Magic at 6, the Wolves at 7, the Knicks at 8, the Mavs at 9, the Kings again at 10 with the Pelicans pick, the Hornets at 11, the Pistons at 12, the Nuggets at 13, and the Heat at 14 to round out the draft lottery. And today we are just going to go over the first 14 picks with actual picks that we believe will occur. I have done enough research to kind of talk about the rest of the first round, but I don't know if Jesus wants to talk about the rest of the first round too much, but we will cross that bridge when we do. All right, so like we said, the first overall pick has been traded to the Philadelphia 76ers, so we both have indicated as if this trade is happening. We oftentimes have seen how some things back out. More recent memory, a lot of us can recall DeAndre Jordan backing out of the Mavs. Trades can often take different forms all the time. So, without further ado, the way we are going to go about this is we will say who we believe will be picked at that spot, and then we will talk about it. And so the first pick I believe will be still the same. It will be Markel Fultz from the University of Washington, and I assume Jesus has the same.
Yeah, I think that's kind of obvious, especially considering that the Sixers just had a workout with Markel Fultz, and they brought him in again today just to make sure they wanted to get this right. So I definitely see him going number one for sure.
Yes, it's going to be an interesting backcourt dynamic with a player like Ben Simmons and Markel Fultz. My original idea for the 76ers were they were going to go for the best shooter in the entire draft. That has since changed. So I'm not saying Fultz is exactly a terrible shooter, but he's not as good as the guy I originally had them picking. But still, I think it's the right pick. He's the best player available in this entire draft, and a young core of Fultz, Simmons, Embiid, uh, maybe Covington, definitely Dario Saric, and if they can trade away at the logjam position of center and get them something better than
You mean that
Jahlil
Duke boy?
Okafor. Yeah, something better than that Duke boy. I think they'll be fine. Um, so the process continues moving forward into the new year. Impact wise, I don't know. I don't expect these guys to make playoffs. They haven't played together. Obviously, they're essentially running two rookies in the backcourt to start off, so that's going to be interesting. And what do you think this will do to Ben Simmons? Do you think this is something that'll lighten the load for him?
Well, I definitely think that this will help lighten Ben Simmons' role. I do think that he's still going to be the the main primary ball handler for this team. I think he's going to be the one who's running the offense because he's by far the best facilitator on that team, and that's including Markel Fultz. Like if I had to pick someone on the team who I want to facilitate the ball, it is Ben Simmons. His craftiness with his passing, his vision is unreal, especially in consider his height helps out so much. So I could really see that going, and I think Markel Fultz can easily play off the ball easily. I mean he's going to have to get his shooting up. I mean, he went 4 of 18 on wide open threes in his workout with the Sixers, which is bad. I mean, I tell this story to people all the time, but like most people don't realize how good of shooters NBA players are. I've been to probably about maybe 35 NBA games in my lifetime, and if you go watch them at shoot around, even the worst players don't really miss. Like I saw DJ Mbenga from the Lakers in 2000, I think 9 it was, or 2010, and I seen him hit 20 straight, like 20-foot jump shots, like it was nothing in shoot around and stuff. These players just don't miss when they're just practicing. So for him to go 4 of 18, just in an open gym where no one's guarding him, that's really bad. So he's gonna have to pick up that shooting, especially in today's NBA. But I think he can work on that. That's something that he's only 19, so I mean he has plenty of time.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of room to improve for a guy like Fultz, but maybe this isn't the most ideal scenario. I believe sitting behind an established backcourt duo like Isaiah Thomas and Avery Bradley would have been the most ideal landing spot for him, but now he gets to be one of the top guys on his team immediately, so it'll be interesting to see how that works. But he definitely is one of those players that I thought could play both guard positions. He's big, he's tall, he's athletic. Uh, he's gonna probably have to learn how to shoot a little better, but I imagine that's something that's coachable, so that's no giant deal. So I think it's definitely the right choice for the 76ers, and the process moves on.
Inky lives.
Okay. And with the next pick, we move on to the Los Angeles Lakers. I will let Jesus talk about his team and who he believes they will pick.
I mean, I think there's a lot of talks about the Lakers taking Josh Jackson. Like, so many people think that's the direction that the Lakers are going to go. I find that a little bit hard to believe just because we just drafted Brandon Ingram. And I mean, they both play the same position. I mean, Josh Jackson's a little bit meatier. Like, he's a lot bulkier
Little bit.
Yeah, I know. He's a lot bulkier than Brandon Ingram is. But essentially, they'd both be playing the same exact position. And they'd both be expected to do similar things on the court. So to be just fit wise, it would make no sense for my team to take Josh Jackson just because it's like, why would you take another small forward when you just drafted a small forward? So
Actually,
I think my gut feeling is that they're trying their best to send out a bunch of smoke and mirrors and smoke screens to try to trade down and try to get some assets out of this. Because if they get people to think that they're going to draft Josh Jackson, then they might be able to, like the Celtics right now, supposedly that's who they want is Josh Jackson. So I could see the Lakers just trying to swindle Danny Ainge, but Danny Ainge is the last person to fall for that. Danny Ainge is the one who does the swindling and the stealing. So I still think that Lonzo Ball is going to be the person they draft. Fit wise, he's the ideal fit. I mean, D'Angelo Russell, he put up some pretty decent numbers in the amount of minutes that he played last year. But I think his best games came when he ran as a shooting guard. So if we can get a point guard in who's actually more of a facilitator, a pass first point guard, someone who likes to set up the offense, someone who can shoot themselves. I mean, Lonzo Ball's form is like the ugliest thing you'll ever see besides Sean Marion's shot, but
My boy.
he can shoot. So I think that he's gonna be the fit that we need. And like I said, I still think that it's just smoke and mirrors that they're throwing out there, just trying to hopefully catch. Before it was the Sixers off guard, but now it would have to be the Celtics. So
I actually have 2 points. I don't think Josh Jackson and Brandon Ingram play similar roles on the team. I see Ingram more as a scorer. I see Jackson more as a defensive anchor. Um, I don't think Jackson would fit too well. I agree with that, mostly because I see him as a wing, not necessarily an undersized four, especially with Julius Randle. I don't think he's a five, so that's pretty problematic in that respect. He's Josh Jackson is a great athlete. He's not a great scorer. He can't really shoot too well, so that's kind of a problem, especially when Ingram isn't the greatest shooter either. So I do agree they should not take him. I also agree that they should take Ball, but I think Ball is the right choice. He's not. I don't think he's a knockdown shooter. He takes a lot of tough shots, but it seems like he lives and dies on those, so that's pretty good for the modern NBA. Just ask Kyrie Irving. Um, I believe that the offense running through Ball would make the rest of the Lakers click. Honestly, D'Angelo Russell is not a point guard in this league. He is a shooting guard. He's a good shooter and he's a good scorer, but he's not the kind of guy who you want running the offense. Lonzo Ball is that guy. So I think Ball is the right choice. And also, if the Lakers were going to swindle anyone, they should swindle the Kings because I could definitely see the Kings trying to trade the fifth pick and the 10th pick to take the Aaron Fox at second overall. And I don't think Danny Ainge would lose any sleep over that. I think Ainge might be positioning himself to try to take a swing for Jimmy Butler, but I think that all kind of depends on what happens with Gordon Hayward. So I'm going to go ahead and say Lonzo Ball is the right choice, regardless of how his father acts. He will make the Lakers offense showtime once again. So I think a lot of people will forgive LeVar. Do you agree with that?
people won't even care about LeVar once they see Lonzo as a Laker. The way we could play with him if he lives up to his potential. When people see the way the team goes, the offense flows. Defensively, we're gonna suck, but offensively, we could have a very very talented team.
Yes, and there's always free agents. The Lakers do have
Paul George.
the Lakers do have another pick in the draft, so it'll be interesting to see if they want to think defense on the next pick. So the next pick is the Boston Celtics with the third overall pick. I do believe that this will be a traded pick, honestly, but in the meantime, I actually do not believe they should draft Josh Jackson. I think he is more like a guy like Jalen Brown. I don't think those two could coexist because neither of them are great shooters. They're both great athletes. They're both defensive stoppers, and they're very good in that sense. But I think Brown fits a little bit more in that sense. Brown also can play with a guy like Jay Crowder, who they obviously love because they wouldn't trade him away. So if they do select Josh Jackson, it'll most likely be part of a Jimmy Butler deal. But I think if they want somebody that they can definitely help them get closer to the promised land, I think they should draft a guy like Malik Monk, um, a sharpshooter. He could play with a guy like Marcus Smart, so you wouldn't have that issue where you would draft a guy that would take Smart's minutes. I honestly, he's not as great of a defender as a guy like Avery Bradley, but he's still a great shooter, so you wouldn't lose a lot on your bench unit. So I think Malik Monk would make a lot of sense for the Celtics team. What do you think?
All right, so to me, it comes down to this: are the Celtics playing to win now, or are they playing with all these picks that they have just for the post LeBron East? Because I think that's going to be the big determining factor. If they're playing to win now, I seriously they're probably going to trade this pick and maybe a couple of their other picks that they got, because they just for this trade with the Sixers, the rumored trade is that they'd get the number 3 pick this year, and then they'd get either the 2018 Lakers pick if it falls between 2 and 6, and if it doesn't fall between that, they'd get the 2019 Kings first round pick. So I mean, they have so many first round picks coming in the next few years that they could try and their best to package that for either Paul George or Jimmy
And
Butler.
they still have the Nets pick also.
Yep, and they still have that Nets pick. So they have a ton of picks that they could package it if that's what they want to do. Or if they're going to try to play for the post LeBron era, I think the two people that I thought Monk for sure, because in today's NBA you need shooters. And I mean, as good as what they have right now, I mean Marcus Smart is a defensive player, but he can't shoot to save his life right now. So you need a shooter out there when he's on the court, and that would help give them another shooter when Isaiah's resting. Or I still think that they'd probably, from what I've been hearing, I think Josh Jackson just because I think they can make it work. I mean, even though they got Jaylen Brown, I still think that they can make this work just because it's really hard to find wing players that are athletic like this. His wingspan's not as long as I would like, because it's 6'9 3/4 for a 6'8" person. That's not really that big of a wingspan. But I do think that his athleticism and then it's just his size in general will help out with the team.
I think my biggest problem with that, honestly, is obviously we don't know what the Celtics are going to do. The Celtics are playing with house money. They can
Yeah,
sign guys like Griffin or Hayward,
Gordon Hayward.
or trade for guys like Paul George and Jimmy Butler. So they've got a lot of potential moving forward. So honestly, they don't have to ace this draft in any way, shape, or form. I think the only way they would have aced it would have been to draft Fultz, because I think Fultz would have been.
Fultz was the perfect fit. That
Yep.
like I seriously thought that they were gonna just draft Fultz, especially with Isaiah Thomas coming out and talking about how much he liked Fultz and how he knew they could play together.
Yeah. But it appears like it's not in the cards for them, so they must really like the idea of competing sooner than later. Danny Age isn't exactly the most patient human being. Just watch how he built the big three. So, I think Danny Age will get this right, however he wants to do it. Honestly, again, I still don't think if we're talking about shooting and guys that can't shoot to save their life, Josh Jackson and Jaylen Brown on the wing is a terrifying prospect to me. With Marcus Smart at the one, that bench may be defensive grinders, but the problem is dumb shots are better than can't hit the side of a barn shot. So I think they still wouldn't be able to get past the Cavs with that team just because of guys like Kyrie Irving takes dumb shots all the time. So
Yeah, but to me, like I said, I still don't know what their goal is, because I don't know if their goal is to win now or if it's just to build this team up so that way when LeBron's on the decline, they got a in 29 or 2020 or something that they have the top roster in the East at that point.
I definitely feel like we're getting closer and closer to the return of the good old Lakers Celtics rivalry. So we'll see. We will see. Now we move on to a team with a less bright future, ironically named after the sun. We have the Phoenix Suns, and I would like them to draft Josh Jackson. However, if the Celtics do draft Josh Jackson, I believe they will draft Malik Monk. Um, because of two reasons. Number one, he's a good shooter, and number two, he went to Kentucky. So
The Kentucky Suns.
yes, the Kentucky Suns, my Kentucky Suns, once again will select another Kentucky alum, or they'll take De'Aaron Fox and break my heart. Either way, I think that Kentucky player will most likely go to Phoenix unless Josh Jackson is on the board or Lonzo Ball is on the board. Um, at this point, I think it'll be interesting to see how a backcourt of. Honestly, I don't think Devin Booker and Malik Monk could start at the same time. I don't even think they can be on the wings at the same time. So it'll be really interesting to see how this team tries to balance that. I also think De'Aaron Fox would be the mistake because it would essentially be replacing Eric Bledsoe with a slightly, well, maybe not slightly, but a younger version of Eric Bledsoe. Neither guy is going to dazzle you with their shot, but they're both defensively strong. They're both pretty good slashers, and I like De'Aaron Fox because that guy is a gamer, but I don't like it for this team. So I am curious to see who you think the Suns will draft. The Kentucky Suns.
All right. So I mean, the obvious pick is Josh Jackson. You guys need a wing player so bad right now.
The healthy wing player.
Yeah. Okay. A healthy wing player. I'll give you that one. Or if you'll hate this one, but I also thought Jason Tatum. Yep. I also thought Jason Tatum just because, like I said, you guys have so many guards, but you need a healthy wing player. So it's just like it has to be Josh Jackson or Jason Tatum.
So this is the thing: is I honestly feel like the smartest move would be to trade back and draft a guy like Collins. I think Zach Collins would be an interesting fit.
I think if you traded back, Jonathan Isaac would be a decent one to try too.
I think the problem with Jonathan Isaac is he's not really a wing and he's a four, and we already have two. We drafted two fours last year. What we really need is a center. I mean, I love Alex Len. The guy tries his hardest, but he looks more lost than Zaza Pachulia sometimes out there.
No. No one is more
I
lost
said
than
sometimes.
Zaza.
I said sometimes. I said sometimes. Okay. The thing about Alex Len that's unfortunate is he's clearly being held back by Tyson Chandler. So I think a guy like Zach Collins would be the right pick, or even I can't pronounce his last name, but the man out of Arizona. We'll talk about him later. But I think either of those guys would be good picks. But if they're staying up here, yeah, I honestly, I think a lot of people like Jason Tatum. I personally don't like Jason Tatum, not just because he went to Duke.
Duke bias.
I think the biggest problem with him is he doesn't necessarily give us something that TJ Warren doesn't already give us. I don't think he's that good of a defensive player, and he can't really shoot that well. So I don't know.
To me, with Jason Tatum, though, the big thing is that he has all the intangibles to become a good defensive player. I mean, he has the athleticism. He has the very long wingspan. Like, just to compare him and Josh Jackson, like I said, Josh Jackson's wingspan is 6'9", and then Jason Tatum is his wingspan is 6'11", but they're the same height. So I mean, he has all the intangibles you would need to become a good defensive player. I don't know if your coaches are the right coaches to teach him to be a good defensive player.
Probably not.
Yeah, but I do think he has the intangibles to become one.
I'm going to go ahead and say this. I do have him being drafted in the first round, and I do believe guys like Josh Jackson and guys like Jason Tatum should definitely watch tape of Otto Porter. Otto Porter, I felt, was the same way coming out of college. Solid defensive player, but he wasn't going to make Jack on the next level. He was going to look like a bust because he can't score. So That guy learned how to shoot a three, and once you learn how to shoot a three, you'll have a job in the NBA for life. So, moving on, let's talk about our favorite royal screw up, the Sacramento Kings. I
We
believe
all know who needs to go here.
I believe the right pick is De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that that's the right pick.
I agree. Honestly, I feel like De'Aaron Fox brings a winning culture to them. Uh, Defensively good. He's not a great shooter, but he's paired up with a guy like Buddy Hield. I honestly can't tell you who's a better shooter between Buddy Hield and Malik Monk, but I think they're comparable enough for us to say that he could definitely fit next to a guy like Buddy Hield. So he's a good defender, like you said. He's a very underrated slasher, in my opinion. He's a gamer, so he brings this winning mentality to the Kings, and he reignites the good old Kings Lakers rivalry because he don't like Lonzo Ball either.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I mean, the Kings right now have desperately needed a point guard to lead that franchise. I mean, getting rid of not re-signing Isaiah Thomas was a
Mistake.
it was a huge mistake. I don't know if it was his height or him and Boogie's relationship or what, but them not re-signing him was just a huge mistake, and they've been needing a point guard since. I mean, you can't get by with Ty Lawson and Darren Collinson in the modern NBA.
I absolutely agree. It's unfortunate, but it is very true. I think De'Aaron Fox would be the right pick. I also hope they don't try to trade up to get him because I will believe that he is there at 4 or 5.
And you know who they would trade to go up to get him.
Well, they definitely wouldn't trade Buddy Hield. They would have to trade their other pick. Also,
I'm saying what team they would trade to though. It'd be the Lakers.
it would be a giant mistake, but we'll see.
Do we expect anything else from the Kings?
Well, actually, at the 10th pick, I have a very King's choice, so we'll move on to that.
Is it a big man?
It is not, actually. But we will get to there when we get to there. All right, number 6. I think this is where things get interesting. I think at this point we have gotten past a couple slam dunk picks, and we are getting to these teams that have needs. They definitely have needs, but we're not necessarily sure what direction they're going to go for this specific draft. I have the Magic's taking Dennis Smith out of NC State, actually. So I think the Alfred Payton experiment honestly should come to an end. I think Smith is a great athlete. He played for a really poor team in NC State, so they really didn't get a great chance to show off what he had to do. But he did lead them to defeat Duke, so that is impressive. I believe it was the first time they'd beaten Duke in a long time in Cameron too, I believe. So I think this guy is overshadowed by the fact that there are 3 really good point guards ahead of him, but he is no slouch. So I think he's the right pick for this Magic team that needs direction. What do you think?
I definitely agree with that pick, just because right now in today's NBA, you're not going to be a good team without a good point guard. Right now, it seems like the jury is kind of closing on Alfred Payton, if he could be the type of point guard that they need to lead this team. And like you said, Dennis Smith doesn't always get the recognition he deserves, just because, I mean, there's Markelle Fultz and Lonzo Ball in this draft. So
And De'Aaron
he
Fox.
and De'Aaron Fox. So I mean, he kind of just slips by unnoticed. But in today's NBA, you need a point guard, and the Magic have an opportunity at 6 to get someone that could actually, who comes from a good program, someone who's ready to lead an offense, who's not going to come from a program where cough cough they don't learn anything, but he's learned quite a bit where he's at. So I'm happy. They need a point guard who can score on the pick and roll, who can finish at the rim. I mean, this is something that they can get. I mean, no offense to Alfred Payton, but I'd be scared. No one's scared of him.
No, they're not. They really aren't. But this guy's a gamer too. So I think that it would be the right decision. Moving on, we have the Timberwolves with Tibbs running the show. I think a lot of people thought this team would be a lot better defensively than it was. It was pretty bad defensively. And also, my secret feeling about Tibbs is that he is very, very bad at running a rotation. He seems to run a lot of these guys.
Way too long.
Exactly. So it's kind of
I,
concerning.
how do you pronounce this guy's last name? Because I can't pronounce it.
Okay, which guy did you pick? Because I actually have them going for Isaac.
So right now I have between Isaac or what is it, Laurie Marquand, the Arizona boy.
Oh, Laurie Markin, yeah.
Yeah,
Markkinen, I think.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting decision. A stretch four with one of the best centers in the entire NBA would be an interesting decision. But I think Isaac works a little bit better because he can cover the three and he can cover the four. Defensively, he's what a guy like Tibbs would want, and also because he can play multiple positions, unfortunately, he's kind of the guy that Tibbs would want because he could kind of run him into the ground if he really so chose.
No, no, I definitely can see that. That's why I was unsure on who I would go with on this one. I mean, Isaac definitely, like you said, he can cover the 3 and 4, which in today's NBA is so important because we're getting to a point where it's positionless basketball, and if your four can't go out on the wing and defend, I mean, against the top teams, you're going to be kind of
Yeah.
so there's nothing you can do.
Okay, we're gonna bleep that out.
Yes, you should,
uh,
but I'm still unsure just because the way that team is built, they have it right now where they have Andrew Wiggins, Zach LaVine, and then we have Karl Anthony Towns. Andrew Wiggins, I mean, he came in known as a defensive stopper, and it's kind of weird seeing him defensively in the NBA. I don't know if it's coaching or what's going on with him. If it's the athletes in the NBA, but a lot of the times it looks like he's kind of lost on what to do off ball, and in like pick and roll situations, he doesn't know when to switch and when not to switch, when to go over and under the screens and stuff like just simple stuff like that, and that really hurts. I'm just gonna give him credit and say that he's probably gonna figure it out. I mean, he's only been in the league a few years now, so he's still young. He has a great defensive coach right now, so I have a good feeling that he's gonna learn it. Same with Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns,
also was a defensive guy coming out
yeah,
of college, so
he
it's
was
weird.
a defensive guy, and for whatever reason, he's not that great defensively in the NBA. Like their defensive, the team's defensive numbers are actually pretty bad sometimes when he's in the game. So I don't know what it is exactly about what's going on. It could be, like you said, them getting run into the ground, and it gets to the point where they just don't have energy at certain points of the games, or on back-to-back nights, or 4 games in 5 nights when you've just been playing heavy minutes. Because all three, their big three, their core three, are all players that can play defense, but for whatever reason, it's not working.
And
But
yeah, go ahead.
so I mean, I can just see it with the versatility that those three guys should have. That's why I think Mark Cannon could work there, just because those three guys are versatile. Andrew Wiggins can guard 2 3s and 4s easily. Karl Anthony Towns can guard 4s and 5s easily. Zach LaVine can do 1, 2, and 3. So I mean, their core three should be able to be versatile enough to switch on everything. So I can see Mark Cannon working there.
Yeah, I think you can also throw a guy like Chris Dunn in there, so that helps defensively too. But
The forgotten Timberwolf.
well, he's not really the forgotten Timberwolf. He hasn't had a chance. He had a rookie season, so I think the real forgotten Timberwolf is Shabazz Muhammad.
Yeah.
So, and Gorgie Dang, he's the other
Oh
Forgot
yeah,
what.
the other dang.
Yeah, so I honestly I feel like Isaac is too much to pass on for them. So that we're kind of we've reached one where we don't necessarily agree it's a slam dunk. So that's good. All right, now we go to the New York Circus, the Knickerbockers. Um, I don't know how they're going to get this pick right. Personally, I think it should be a pretty easy choice for them, but I believe that Tatum should go to the Knicks.
Ooh, okay. So if I had to choose, it's going to be either Malik Monk or Tatum. I mean, they're getting to the point where Carmelo's probably going to be gone. If they're going to trade Carmelo, then I think it's a slam dunk Tatum. You got to get someone that to replace that position.
Yeah,
You, you need someone that can run the three and the four. And so if they're going to keep Carmelo, which
I
is
highly doubt.
possible considering Carmelo has a no trade clause. So I mean, Carmelo can be a jerk and just be like, "I'm not taking a trade."
Uh huh.
If that situation arises, then I think Malik Monk is someone that they could get. Malik Monk is someone that can shoot. He's another guard, and right now, I can't even tell you who the guards are right now. Besides, since Derrick Rose is a free agent, I don't even know if Courtney Lee's going to be under contract. Isn't he a free agent too?
I'm not 100% sure on that one. It sounds
Yeah,
right.
so I'm not even sure who their guards really are right now because I know they had Sasha Vujacic on the team and they had a bunch of really really washed guards. So I mean, if they can get a guard from a good program like Kentucky, I mean Kentucky. If I had to choose any school to get prospects from, it's going to be Kentucky. I mean, those players always come in fundamentally sound. They know what they're doing.
They know how to play together too.
Exactly. They know how to play together as a team. They know how to play as just a team in general. So I mean, they understand basketball concepts. So I think Malik Monk is the type of player that could go to New York and help sort of revitalize that franchise with Porzingis because they need to do something because Porzingis skipping out on exit interviews that's not a good look for the team. Among many other terrible things that happened last year.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't want your best player, the face of your franchise, moving forward. Franchise, your franchise moving forward to skip out on things like that. So you gotta keep them happy. You gotta get a guy that decided to show up against my team and make them look foolish on a big stage. So yeah, I think Malik Monk would be a solid pick for them, but I think he's not there at that time. So I think Tatum would be a solid pick for them too. A lot of people have talked about the point guard from France. Also, I don't see it personally. He's kind of a project player and kind of timid too. So offensively, he needs a little work. I personally just don't see it. All right, moving on. We have a team that, for the most part, is set moving forward, but they could always do a little more. So we have the Dallas Mavericks. Actually have Laurie going to the Mavericks and learning behind Dirk Nowitzki. Isn't that terrifying?
I could definitely see that happen. That would be terrifying. Just the only question is how long is Dirk going to be there? Because I mean, likely one more season. So his rookie year.
Yeah, you can learn a lot from a Hall of Famer in 1 year. I'm just saying.
I definitely could see that. And my big question with the Mavericks right now is going to be: are they done with this? With the how committed to the Yogi Ferrell and
Yeah,
Seth Curry experiment are they? Because if they're committed to that, then I could definitely see them going in a direction like that. But my question is, I don't think they're going to be committed to that. Mark Cuban's the owner that dismantled a team that just won a
yep,
championship to try to shake things up.
yep.
So I don't know how to pronounce the French point guard's name, but I definitely could see them going after the French point guard.
I,
It Frank N- I I'm not even gonna try to butcher that.
Yeah.
But like I said, this is a point guard dominated league right now, and if you have to do whatever you can to get a solid point guard in today's NBA. And I think the Mavericks, especially having already worked with Dirk and many other foreign players, I think that the Mavs, probably the Mavs and the Spurs are like the two of the best teams for that type of situation. So I could definitely, that's where I think they may go.
I could also see the Spurs trading up to get a guy like that, but I doubt it
Yeah, I
because
could see
Murray
that too.
is a player, so we'll see. Um, yeah, I agree. I think he would fit really well with a guy like Rick Carlisle, who likes players like that. But again, you're right. You're absolutely right. I liked Yogi Ferrell. Watched him a lot in college. I don't think he and Seth Curry are the future necessarily. So I don't know. It's hard, but in my opinion, you have a guy like Laurie Marcus. Okay, Marketed or I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce his name, but
Yeah, I don't know either.
you have a guy like that learn from a guy like Dirk. Honestly, a lot of the criticisms they had for a guy like him, they had for a guy like Dirk. So I think he would be the perfect teacher for him. So I think that team already is pretty set at center. If they can keep Nerlens Noel, they're set at the wings with guys like Wesley Matthews and Harrison Barnes. So honestly, I don't see a way for the Mavs to mess up this pick. So that's what being a good team is. All right, now we go from a team that is good to a team that is unfortunately very bad and messes up picks all the time. We are back to the Sacramento Kings. I'm going to let you go first because I don't think we chose the same person.
Well, so the thing I have with the Kings is that I just really think they're going to screw up the second pick, their second pick. I just can't imagine. I know for sure if Fox is there, they'll get Fox at 5, and it'll be kind of hard to screw up the fifth pick.
Yeah.
But the 10th pick, I seriously just think they're going to pick a big man just because their history. I don't care how many big men they have on that team. It's either going to be a big man or a shooting guard, and because they just love logjam. So I think if they're going to pick someone like Zach Collins. All right, I think they're going to pick someone like Zach Collins or maybe Malik Monk if Monk slips that far. But I don't think Monk will slip that
I
far.
highly doubt Monk makes it past the Knicks or even the Mavs for that
Or
matter.
or if they really want to screw things up, I could see them picking the shooting guard from Duke.
All right, so yeah, that's actually who I have. I have the Kings selecting Luke Kennard from the University of Duke. Um, the reason I have that is I remember when their owner took over, they already had Ben McLemore, and they decided to take Nick Stauskas, who is very similar to a guy like Luke Kennard.
I just want to point this out that at one point last year for the Kings roster, they had 7 shooting guards. 7. And I'm positive that was the number. It was 7.
They could have 8, which is crazy because they had guys like Willie Cauley-Stein, Papagiannis, and Skull all on the same team still. And
Yeah.
yeah, 7.
Like I definitely see I definitely see that. Like I said, Kennard or I just have a feeling. I don't know why that it's just going to be a big man. That's why I said Zach Collins from Gonzaga. But if not him, I could definitely see Kennard for sure. Like that was one of the.
Now here's the pick that I think they should take. Is honestly, and this has nothing to do with the fact that I'm a Tar Heels fan, but I think Justin Jackson actually would be the smart pick for them because Justin Jackson is an improved shooter. I remember watching him his freshman year. Just for context for some people, he is the same year as Jahlil Okafor. So I remember the big knock on Justin Jackson was the question was it ever going to come together? Was he ever going to be that player that we knew he could be? And honestly, this championship run, he was absolutely that player that we knew he could be. He had finally gotten over being timid. He was a scorer. He was a gamer. He knew exactly what he was going to do, and he dared the opposition to stop him. So, as a shooter, I think he is what the Kings would be interested in. And as a scorer in general, if he doesn't make threes, he's still got that teardrop. And let me tell you, that floater is amazing. It is an unholy floater. There's sometimes where he would float from definitely from the 15-foot range. I honestly felt like he traveled to 20 feet at one point and hit a floater. So I that
No,
man
I
puts time. If he puts the same amount of effort, and he has, as he has into that floater, into how he shoots from three, I think he is the right choice. And he also has unbelievable off the ball instincts. So I think he would be the right pick for them. But I doubt they're going
I
to do it because they're the Kings.
exactly. I totally agree with that because their two biggest needs right now are obviously point guard and then at the small forward and just wing positions in general. So that's what they need. But they're the Kings, so that's why I said it's either going to be a big man or a shooting guard,
Yeah,
just because
because
they're
they're
the
the
Kings.
Kings. Yeah, absolutely. But Justin Jackson, if anyone listens to this from the Kings organization, for the love of all that is good, draft Justin Jackson. Draft him. But you won't. Anyways, we move on from a depressing team to a little bit of a less depressing team, the Charlotte Hornets, who, interestingly enough, at the start of the season, they looked like a championship caliber team, but they kind of lost it towards the end when we all realized that if Kemba Walker is not on the floor, it's really hard for that team to win. So we kind of, I think they need to address that. So I actually have them drafting a guy like Donovan Mitchell out of University of Louisville. He is an athlete. He's a defensive player. He can play both positions, so you could definitely have him play with Kemba Walker. You could have him play with guys like Michael Kidd Gilchrist. You could have him play with what's his name? Who's the other wing that they signed from Portland?
Nicholas Batum.
Nicholas Batum, you could have him play with that. And also, I feel like a lot of people have been suggesting they draft a big man, which I think would be a mistake because they have Zeller and they have Kaminsky. So a lot of the big men are very similar to Zeller and Kaminsky. So I don't think that would be the right decision. So unless they draft a guy like Bam Adebayo from the University of Kentucky, I think Donovan Mitchell would be the right choice for them. What do you think?
I could definitely see Donovan Mitchell go in there. Like you said, he fits, especially considering, like you said, when Kemba Walker goes off the court, that team just dies, and you can't have that. I mean, honestly, it was probably almost as bad as when LeBron goes to the bench with the Cavs. Like the numbers are just so bad. So I could definitely see them taking Donovan Mitchell. The other person I thought that they might take would have been, again, the French point guard here if he falls there.
Uh-huh.
Just because they need someone that can actually come in and take Kemba Walker's place when Kemba Walker goes to the bench. You can't have that team running with no one to run the offense when your star player goes out. If that happens, then you're kind of screwed. But like I said, I already had the French point guard going out to Dallas. So if he doesn't get taken by Dallas, like I said, I'll have him go there, but I have a feeling that he might. So that's when I would say that they might take. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name either, honestly.
Anunoby?
Yes.
Yes, OG Anunoby.
Yes. OG.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that would be an interesting pick for them. My problem with that is he's very similar to a guy like Michael Kidd Gilchrist, so I don't know if they want to create a logjam there.
The only thing, yeah, I mean that's something that I'd be worried about too, especially because Michael Kidd Gilchrist is already like an injury-prone player that he's injured every year.
Yeah.
And then OG, just he had his torn ACL, so I mean, I don't know if you want two players that are injury-prone
At the same
but
position too.
yeah. But the thing is, I do think that it's time to move on from Kid Gilchrist because when he plays, he's a solid player. But it comes to a situation where if you're not playing, then you're kind of not. You don't help the team. So
Yeah, you're not
if you
producing.
can get if you can get a player at that position that can help your team, I mean, he was a good defender before he got hurt. So I mean, if he can come back healthy, he's young, so he should come back. Healthy is very healthy and very strong still. I think that he'd be a perfect fit to go in there.
Yeah, I think so too. I actually have him going to the next people. So we have the Detroit Pistons, and like I said, I think Anunoby would make perfect sense for them. They kind of don't care about positions when it comes to basketball too. He would definitely fit in for a guy like Stan Van Gundy. So I think for a lot of the things we said already for him fitting with the Hornets, I think he would fit with the Pistons also.
All right, so with the Pistons, I had Donovan Mitchell going there.
Okay. I think either way works for both of those franchises, honestly. Um, the difference being we don't really know what's going to happen with Reggie Jackson or
Yeah,
Caldwell Pope, so I do think that it kind of behooves them to draft a guy like Mitchell if they don't know what's going to happen with those two. So definitely, either way, I think both of those work for both of those franchises. So we're getting close to the end of this draft now. So we reach to the Nuggets. I actually have Zach Collins falling all the way to the Nuggets. I feel like he was kind of a little premature leaving Gonzaga, but a lot of people are interested in him. He's a shot blocker. He can rebound. He's a hard worker. He can shoot. My biggest concern about him is he's very, very foul prone. Defensively, I think that's something that it's going to take a little time for him to get used to. But a disciplined coach like Malone could definitely go a long way. I think he would fit in with, I think, Nurkic. I think he would also kind of fill that role once. I kind of feel like Gallinari is going to leave, so I think he would fit a similar role with his shooting touch. What do you think for the Nuggets?
I definitely think Zach Collins is a very 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 good pick for them. My only question is just going to be he only played what was it 17 minutes a game.
Yeah,
So my problem is I don't know how well he's going to adjust to play if he has to get put into high minute positions. If he ends up being a player that has to play 30 minutes a game next season, which he probably won't, but I mean, if that becomes that occasion arises, I don't know if he'd be able to do it. Stuff like that scares me when I with conditioning. But play wise, he's the best fit right there. Like you said, he's someone that can actually play next to Nurkic, and Nurkic looks like he's gonna be a unicorn. So I think having someone to have his back would be great.
yeah. I think it's a good fit for them. Hopefully, I don't think he should go to the Kings. I don't want him to go to the Kings, so I think the Nuggets would be the right fit for him.
Like I said, that was more of a joke about the Kings. Like I said, they just like creating log jams. So like I said, it had to be either a big man or a shooting guard.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. It's very questionable, but yeah. Moving on, we have the final pick for the lottery. We have the Miami Heat, who look like they are on the verge of creating something. So I have the other Collins. I have John Collins from, I believe he went to Wake Forest, going to the Heat. I think he makes a good pairing with a guy like Hassan Whiteside. He can shoot, so that definitely helps out. And yeah, there's not much more you really need to say about a guy who can play with your franchise player. What do you think?
Definitely. I mean, when you have a guy like Hassan Whiteside, who's a traditional big man, back to the basket, you have to have a four that can either put the ball on the ground from the 3 point line or shoot threes. So I mean, if you have a guy like Collins next to him, that's the most ideal fit you can get.
Yeah, so it sounds like we are agreed on that. So in case people want to know again, so we started off with Markel Fultz. We moved on to Lonzo Ball. We had kind of, I think we met in the middle there. I said Malik Monk. He said Josh Jackson. Then we had the other way around for those teams for the Suns. So possibly Malik Monk or Josh Jackson. We went to the Kings that they should take De'Aaron Fox. Smith should go to the Magic. I like the Isaac for the Wolves. Maybe Markkinen for them. Uh, the Knicks, if they have Malik Monk on the board, they could take Malik Monk. Otherwise, they could take Jason Tatum. The Kings were probably going to draft something dumb. Um, the Hornets were probably going to take either Mitchell or Anunoby. The Pistons were going to take the other one, and we agreed with the Collins boys for the Nuggets and the Heat. So now at this point, we didn't necessarily make picks, but I would like to talk about what these teams could do in their position. So with the Blazers, they have, I believe, 2 picks in the first round, and I heard, or no, I think they have 3 picks in the first round, maybe. How many picks do the Blazers have in the first round?
They have three in the first
They
round.
have 3 in the first round. Okay, so I've heard rumblings that they'd be interested in maybe trading away picks. If they don't, I think their first thing they need to worry about is scoring for any other position besides the point guard and the shooting guard.
Can they get Justin Jackson in there so they have a competent wing next to those two guys?
I think Justin Jackson would be absolutely the right fit for them. If he's still there, honestly, I think a guy like either of the Collins would work for them. If because honestly, I don't feel like Mason Plumlee is the answer. Or
That's
did
another situation like the Nuggets too, where they got Jokic out there who's actually, really good.
Oh yeah, that's right. I think Mason Plumlee got traded for Jokic, but yeah, I Jokic he's good for them, but you get a guy like stretch forward is definitely what they would need in that scenario. So I think if Justin Jackson's on the board, that would be a good pick for them. Absolutely. Now the Bulls are an interesting place because we're not sure what they're gonna do. If they keep Jimmy Butler, they're gonna have the 16th pick, and I think they need to worry about life after Rajon Rondo and D Wade. Um, there are a few guards. The French point guard was not selected in my lottery, so I think this would be a solid place to send him. But I honestly feel like they need a lot of work, so maybe the best decision would be to trade Jimmy Butler away and try to grab a guy like Jackson or even Malik Monk in the top
Yeah.
three.
If they want to go deep down, they can take Ferguson from Australia.
Yeah, I really don't
But
know
that
about
that's a
that.
stretch. I know it's a stretch. I mean, we have the international men of mystery from some of these other countries.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We don't know a lot about him. Absolutely. Uh, but the Bulls are kind of a mess right now, so it's hard to say where
Oh
they
yeah,
would
'cause
go.
they got so many players that might be traded or gone soon. So I don't know. Is it Mirotic might be gone.
Yep,
Butler.
yep. D Wade and Rondo probably aren't going to stay along much longer.
Yep.
But they do have solid people to replace them. They've got Denzel Valentine, who was pretty high on last year. They have, I believe, he went to Arkansas. What's his name? He plays power forward. He did really well against the Celtics. Blanking on his name right now, but he's a pretty good. Oh wait, this came back to me for a second. I want to say it starts with Bobby Portis. There it is, Bobby Portis.
Yeah, Portis. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like him too. And the resurrected mascot hater Robin Lopez is pretty good too. I think he keeps them pretty solid against a lot of the East upper echelon because they're pretty thin up front, but strangely the Bulls are not. So I do not think they should take a big man. Hilariously enough, I think the Bucks will take a big man because we joked about this
Yeah.
on one of our older podcasts that the Bucks and the 76ers will be putting out 7-foot tall players at the guard positions at some point. I think they will actually take a flyer on a guy like Harry Giles. What do you think?
That's definitely who I think they would take. Like the Bucks have a chance to have a team where the shortest person on the court at any given time is 6'8" for the most part. So that could give a lot of teams problems when you have players that are that big, that versatile. It will give a lot of teams problems. The only thing they need right now is for Giannis to learn how to shoot. If Giannis knew how to shoot, this would be a wrap. But
Or even
I don't
just a
know.
little bit better. Like LeBron isn't a knockdown shooter, but he's definitely better than Giannis. I think
Yes,
I like Brogdon. I love that they took Brogdon. So I like Brogdon. I like Middleton. I like Henson. Obviously, went to UNC. Thonmaker. The whole Thonmaker thing is why I think they would take Harry Giles at this spot because they're very interested in players that kind of a lot of people forgot about, but they didn't necessarily forget
I
about.
don't know if people forgot it. I think they're taking players with very high upsides, but very, very low floors. So, I mean, if you like a guy like Thon Maker, there were so many questions about him.
Like his
I
age.
mean, exactly. And people were wondering if he was a lot older. I mean, I've seen so many conspiracies that had like yearbooks from 2003 or something like that supposedly had Thon Maker in them. So, I mean, that was a situation where someone's age was, if someone lied about their age, then they're probably not going to get much better in
Yeah.
their career. That's what I think it is. They're just willing to take a chance on guys that have very high ceilings but very, very low floors.
I feel like that's true too. But I think we agree that Giles, who looked like a top three pick before the year started, and then he got injured a lot, and he did not play very great at Duke. I watched him play. He's got a lot to work on, but being kind of protected
Three knee
by
surgeries is a lot, though. I
yeah,
mean, that can hurt you
that can
bad.
that can. Um, Honestly, I feel like maybe it's just because I watched the Celtics Lakers documentary recently, but I feel like if he ended up in Boston, that'd be a good spot for him. Because Bill Walton did wonders there, and I'm not saying he's exactly like Bill Walton, but big men who have high ceilings, if they can play, Boston has a lot of appreciation for. All right, moving on, we go to Indiana, where the small market Pacers will most likely. I honestly don't know. This is one of those teams on paper they should be a lot better than they are. Um,
Like, this team has so many question marks, though, because no one knows what's going to happen with Paul George.
nope.
That could change their draft strategy quite a bit. Because I mean, if you trade Paul George away, you just traded away one of the most versatile players in the NBA.
It does change a
So
lot. Yeah. I at this point, I I honestly feel like at this point the Pacers might trade the pick. I like a guy like Bell maybe from Oregon. He's a very versatile player. Kind of reminds me of Lance Stevenson, except a little bit taller, so he can play uh, all over the court for them. So I think their bench is really the biggest problem with them. Their starting lineup is actually pretty solid, but when you got a guy like Monte Ellis possibly starting, you kind of want some defensive consistency off the bench. So
Oh
honestly,
yeah,
don't know.
definitely. I could see Jordan Bell with Miles Turner. That'd be a pretty solid defensive front court. So I think if they drafted Bell, that would be a pretty good fit. But like I said, it's just so much is in the air with that team because we have no idea what's going to happen with Paul George.
Yep. Also, he needs to learn how to box out. Learn how to
I,
box out, boy.
I think there's a lot of players in the NBA that need to learn how to box out. I was watching the finals and I saw players not boxing out. I mean, there's only one way the 6'2", 6 foot nothing Steph Curry gets that many rebounds.
It's true. That is true. So I think it'd be an interesting pick for them. Moving on, we have the Hawks. The Hawks are in an interesting scenario where we're not sure what they're gonna do either. What's gonna happen with Paul Millsap? Do they need to replace Paul Millsap? Really is the biggest question for them. So if they wanted to replace a guy like Paul Millsap, John Collins wouldn't be a terrible pick, but I highly doubt he falls that low. Um, Otherwise, I think they might need some help at the wing position. I think the Hawks are in a really strange position right now, so maybe they might be better off actually trading this pick to somebody, but who knows?
I honestly don't know what they want to do either, just because they got Paul Millsap, who's a free agent, and are they gonna re-sign him? What are they gonna do there? And then Dwight Howard. I mean, no, Dwight Howard was very very unhappy in Atlanta. It seems like. So what are they gonna do at center? So I mean, it's like both big man positions for them. I have no idea what's gonna happen.
Which is unfortunate for them because I honestly feel like Dwight Howard actually found himself again in Atlanta.
He did. I honestly felt like I felt like Dwight Howard gets so much disrespect, but if you look at the way he played, considering his back surgeries, his shoulder surgeries that he's had, he's still putting up decent numbers for being a guy coming off of major injuries and being this age.
Especially for what he did, which is basically live off of as athleticism. So yeah, absolutely. Uh, we move again to the Blazers, who again I think they have three picks in the first round. I honestly feel like I think an interesting trade would honestly be a pick and maybe not a pick, but maybe just Carmelo Anthony for three first rounders. I don't know if that would happen, but I think that's something that the Blazers should maybe look at is grabbing a guy like Carmelo.
Do you know what is the Blazers cap space looking like? Because I know they had one of the top salaries in the entire NBA this year. So I don't know what their cap situation is looking like if they could just trade straight three picks for Carmelo.
I think a lot of their cap is tied to their backcourt, so I don't know how flexible that would be or even feasible considering that. So kind of have to consider that, but it's something that I think they should think about because there is a lot of talent in this draft, but I don't necessarily feel like they're gonna get exactly what they need from this draft, unless maybe a guy like Justin Jackson, maybe Bam. I I feel like if they got lucky, Harry Giles would fall to them, and they could take a flyer on him. So again, I don't know about the Blazers. All right, we got the Oklahoma City Thunder next. This is an interesting pick because they definitely need another scorer. Um, at this point in the draft, I think a guy like Justin Jackson actually would fit here too. Um, but outside of him, they don't need any help up front. They definitely need wing help because despite how good of a defensive player a guy like Andre Roberson is, he cannot hit a free throw to save his life. So they need a shooter, maybe a guy like Luke Kennard if he falls that low. They already got a guy like Kyle Singler, so we know they can play with Duke boys. But yeah, it's kind of a tough decision for the Thunder here. What do you think?
I mean, they desperately need a third scorer for that team. I mean, but I don't know what they could get at this point in the draft that would have an immediate impact for them. Because I mean, even if they didn't go with the score, I mean they need another four because Ennis can't. I think they need someone that can actually play defense because Ennis Cantor. I mean he's shown that he can score, but that boy cannot play defense to save his life.
Nope. I believe
I
they
mean
kind
I
of just were banking on Steven Adams carrying that side of the
yeah
equation.
I could see that too. I mean there's been people saying that TJ Leaf was someone that they were interested in, and he
Oh
was kind.
yeah.
So I mean, I think that's somewhere that they could probably go for the power forward position. But other than that, honestly, I have no idea because they desperately need another scorer.
Well, they do have I forget his name. They got him last year. Um, why can I not remember this guy's name? Is they got him in the Serge Ibaka trade. He's the son of a Hall of Famer, but he was
Oh, I know you're. Oh my God, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
yeah. I thought they were doing all right with him. So TJ Leaf would be an interesting pick though. TJ Leaf is not that great of a shooter, shockingly. He's also not that great of a rebounder either. But he can score, which is what they desperately need. So I think that would honestly not be a bad decision for them. If TJ Leaf does not go there, I think TJ Leaf might fit with the Nets, who desperately need anything at this point.
Oh yeah, the Nets. I feel I almost feel that bad for the Nets, but I mean they desperately need anything at any position. That's what makes it so sad is that they could take any position and be okay. I think with their pick.
Yeah, I mean, they aren't really set at most of these positions, so they have two picks. It's hard to get them wrong, honestly. So I don't know. I think their biggest problem is that honestly, a guy like Bell could work for them too. Help sort out that defense.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to think of who else would be because at this point, I mean, there's a few big men available and there's a couple guards. I mean, this is a place where I think even Ferguson might be able to pop up, but again, that's an international man, a mystery. So I don't know how willing of a flyer they would be with that one.
Yeah, I think the unfortunate thing is honestly, I think in the second round and the later rounds, there are guys that could definitely help them out that have a lot of more glaring issues, but they probably could help them out. Like guys like Isaiah Hicks, guys like Josh Hart. Uh, I think Frank Mason, the third from Kansas, would make sense. Frank Jackson, actually from Duke, he would make sense. There's a few guys I think like that would make sense for them on paper, but not necessarily in the first round, unfortunately. So there's a lot wrong with that team. Okay, moving on to the Raptors. I actually think the Raptors should take Bam Adebayo if he's still there because he reminds me a lot actually of a guy like Bismack Biyombo, and he would kind of serve the same purpose for this Raptors team. I feel like this Raptors team lost a lot when they let Bismack Biyombo walk out the door, but at the same time, for the price that he was trying to go for, I understand. But getting a guy who also a little undersized, all he really does is rebound and dunk the ball to, I think that would help them a lot. So I think the Raptors, what they really need is kind of they need to be a little meteor up front. So what do you think?
I definitely could see that happening just because again, even though he's a little bit undersized, he kind of makes up for it in arm length. He's a guy with a 7'3" wingspan at only 6'10", so he got long arms, and I think he's the perfect type of person that you would put with Valanciunas. Like that's the type of guy that they would need to have on the with him. So I could see it.
All right, moving on. We have the Jazz. The Jazz are in a precarious scenario. I think the team is pretty good right now with guys like Rudy Gobert, with guys like Gordon Hayward, but they are in a precarious scenario because we don't know if Hayward is going to stay. It seems like he is very much a hot free agent right now, so he could go to the Celtics or the Heat or somewhere else. We don't know. So this draft changes a lot if they lose him. If they keep him, maybe Ferguson, which would be interesting because
I could
Dante Exum.
another Australian,
Yeah,
yeah, another Australian man of mystery.
yeah, I could see it.
Uh, maybe I could see Frank Jackson going there too.
Frank Jackson's an interesting pick. My big thing about Frank Jackson would be kind of when does he play, because you kind of got George Hill and Dante Exum. Like where
But I'm pretty sure George Hill is a free agent this offseason.
I think they should keep George Hill, honestly.
No, 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 definitely. I think they should, but I mean, that's no guarantee that he'll stay.
Yeah, there's a kind of a problem for a promising young team.
Like, I mean, as good as Utah is, I mean, as a team, I think that's going to be a city that's going to be hard to keep free agents or attract free agents to go to, just
Yep.
because it's kind of just not known for its liveliness. So I don't know how easy it's going to be for them to keep all their free agents this year.
I believe the Warriors said there's no nightlife.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, it's unfortunate too because that is definitely one of those teams that is on the rise. But if they lose their free agents, they will have to be drafting again higher up next season. Or if they could attract free agents, it could get interesting. So moving on, we now land on the Magic again. So the Magic at this point need to take a flyer on anyone who's available because they're missing a lot of pieces. They're not a team that needs to trade back. They're a team that kind of needs to get this right. So I think they need to look at. Well, they already got a guy like Terrence Ross, so they're not maybe entirely set on the wing scoring wise, but I feel like we kind of already addressed their biggest issue is their point guard scenario. Their front court, for the most part, should be safe, but I don't know. Right now, I'm pretty concerned about the Magic right now because they're not going to get a lot of talent at the spot. I think what they should do is look at a guy from a 4-year program. Those are the kind of rookies you want to look at when you're a team that is desperately in need of an identity. So that's really all of the advice I could give for the Magic at this point.
Honestly, the Magic, like you said, they're in a tough situation. I mean, hopefully they get their point guard in with their first pick. But this pick, I mean, they can try going with like Tyler Lydon or something from Syracuse. I mean, he won't help defensively, but at least he gives them a stretch four. So I mean that'll help out again in today's NBA. It's becoming to the point where if your four can't shoot, then there's going to be a lot of times where they can't be on the court. So
Yeah, they better be able to defend. Like if they
shoot
can't
and
shoot.
defend. Pretty much that's what you need your four to do these days.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of yeah, it is, absolutely is pretty tough for that squad. Yeah, we move on to the Blazers again. I think we already talked about it. I think it's honestly a better idea for them to trade these picks.
Yeah,
It's yeah,
they have a good core there. I mean, if they can get to something with these picks to help out, I think they should do it. I mean, there's not going to be any much with these later picks that they can get. So if they can trade them and get some value for them, they might as well do it.
Yeah, I agree. The Nets, again, they have so many problems. So, um, it's hard for me to say that.
Go DJ.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, whatever they could get, right? Just whatever they could
Yeah,
get.
whatever they could get at this point.
All right, like we're wrapping up. So now, the Lakers are back on the clock. What do you think they really need, with the second pick?
Honestly, this is the pick that I would trade as the. My main reason is right now we have a pretty. We have a log jam up that's gonna happen in the backcourt. I mean that's why they're thinking about trading Jordan Clarkson. So I mean we already have a log jam.
What?
Yeah, I don't agree with trading Jordan Clarkson. I love Jordan Clarkson, but that's been the rumors that he's going to be gone because especially if we draft Lonzo Ball, there's going to be too many people that need the ball in that backcourt. I mean, we already have the small forward of the future and a backup small forward with Luol Deng. I would like to get another younger one if we can, but I mean, I don't know. It's going to be tough to be able to play Brandon Ingram and another young small forward meaningful minutes at this point. I mean, Brandon Ingram was already fighting for minutes as it is, and I just don't think that we should be taking away minutes from him. He needs to be in games as often as possible. He needs to develop. At power forward, we have a huge logjam as it is because we have Julius Randle, Larry Nance, and again, Luol Deng. So we have three people there that need minutes, and it's already tough to divvy them out.
Mm.
Then at center, we got my boy Zubac. Zubac, he's amazing. He needs to get his playing time. He had to fight off Mozgov to get playing time as it is.
Yep.
So I mean, I feel like at every position we have core players there that need playing time.
Yeah.
So I feel like if we can get something of value out of this, I would trade it away instantly. If this trade, honestly, if they wanted to trade this pick and our number 2 and something for Paul George, I think that would be an option. But I really don't know what we could get that we would be able to help this player get meaningful minutes.
Mm.
Just because we have so many young pieces as it is, that it's already hard enough to divvy out good, meaningful minutes to those players.
Yeah, actually, I think Clarkson should not be traded because they will have nobody on the bench to help them run that team if they get rid of him.
Oh no! I mean, this is a topic for another podcast. But some of these decisions, or at least rumored decisions, have been kind of upsetting me as a Lakers fan.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So, moving on, we have the San Antonio Spurs, who really don't need anything. I think that Bell would be an interesting pick for them if he is still on the board. I think Tony Bradley also would be an interesting pick for them because he is a very good offensive rebounder. It's kind of what he's going to make his money on. And I think if anybody can help develop a guy who's shouldn't have been one and done, it'll be a guy like Popovich. What do you think the Spurs should do with this pick?
Well, I think that their biggest need is probably going to be at the big man position because Paul Gasol obviously is old. Yeah, so I mean, he's going to be gone soon.
David Lee also.
David Lee, old and sort of over the hill. Even LaMarcus Aldridge isn't all that young. LaMarcus Aldridge is in his 30s, so
yeah.
He's still on the young side, but he's on the old. He's getting close to being an older guy in the NBA. So I mean, if you can find a young player, a young big man to come in, I would say maybe someone like Rab from Cal. I mean, that'd be someone that I'd consider.
Would be interesting, yeah.
Just because they desperately need some young big man out there. Just someone to go out there, especially because LaMarcus Aldridge as even though he should be playing the five in today's NBA, he hates playing the five for whatever reason. I mean I don't know what it is, but at times you could tell that he's really. It seemed like he was really uncomfortable out there, no, as the five man on the court. So I mean, if you can get another big man that could be a 4-5 combo, I think that would help out the team a lot.
Yeah, actually, someone who we haven't actually talked about, but maybe Jarrett Allen from Texas would be a steal for the Spurs at this point. Although I feel like he probably should have been picked by maybe the Nets up to this point, but who knows? The Nets are an interesting team. I think, yeah, I think they desperately need younger big men. We're not really sure what's going to happen with Deadmon. Um, so I think somebody who can definitely help kind of shoulder the rebounding load for LaMarcus Aldridge would be much appreciated. I've heard, yeah, there's not a lot of guys here. I would say, there's not a lot of like obvious guys. I think for the Spurs to take, but I think if anyone's gonna get it right, it's gonna be them.
They always get it right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And finally, the Jazz once again. Again, if they have no problems, they maybe don't trade the pick, but they could definitely uh, kind of take a flyer on some of these interesting people. But it's kind of hard for me to say what they're going to do until we hear about what happens with their free agents there.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a very tough situation for them to be in because if they lose Gordon Hayward, that'll really hurt the team.
yeah,
And then it's, George Hill isn't the greatest point guard, but he for whatever reason he revitalized his career over there because I thought he was pretty much washed, but he actually looked really good with the Jazz. He fit in so well there. So if they lose George Hill, that'll be a huge hit.
maybe a guy like Isaiah Briscoe from Kentucky could help them out. I maybe Tyler Dorsey. It's just again, it's we have no idea what they're gonna. Maybe Frank Jackson if he's still on the board.
Frank Jackson can, yeah, I think Frank
Yeah,
Jackson can go there.
but again, they could have taken him at 24. So who knows what they're gonna do? It's it's really hard to say again until we figure out what's going on with their um uh, Gordon Hayward situation.
So what we're trying to tell you, Jazz fans, is that you're gonna have be in for a long night on draft day because if if they draft under the assumption that they're keeping those players, their draft board's gonna look completely different than if they're under the assumption that they're gone. So
Yeah,
have fun with that.
yeah. I think this honestly sucks. Now here's a few players that are interesting to me because they're interesting during the college season. I liked what Nigel William Goss was doing, so I think he could be a contributor in some teams. A guy like Melo Trimble could be interesting. Xavier uh, Rathane Mays would be interesting for a few squads. Justin Patton, we didn't really talk about, but he could see his name called.
Sorry to interrupt, Aaron, but I just noticed the time, and we've gone on for quite a while, so I think we should wrap this up. Anyways, guys, I'm really happy that you guys came and listened to our podcast. Please leave comments if you want, like, or even dislike. I don't care. Subscribe. Just keep on looking out for more content. We're trying our best to make sure that we get more stuff out quicker than we have been. We apologize for our month long disappearance, but we're going to do our best to keep bringing out content for you guys. So just be on the lookout. We're going to do our best. Anyways, thank you for the listen. We hope you enjoyed.